Welcome back to the Alter Ego Bros. I'm Andy, that's Nick, and today we're going to be reviewing Return to Silent Hill. Return to Silent Hill is based on the video game series, but even though it sounds like it's a sequel, it's not really a sequel to the first movie. But it is based on the sequel video game, which was a sequel to the first video game. It's just kind of weird, but it has nothing to do with the first movie that came out like 20 years ago. Because I know I've seen some people online talk about how the first movie had a $50 million budget. This one only had a $25 million budget. And it's like, well, I don't know if we really should be comparing these two at all. That's a decent chunk of change, especially when I've seen a lot of movies do a lot of great things for like $15 million, $10 million. However, I think in general, they spent their money in kind of the wrong places. So because of that, I'm a 6 out of 10 though. So it's kind of on the positive side. I do have some things I like about it, but I see where they fell short and where they should have reapproached it.
I survived Silent Hill and all I got was the stupid postcard. I thought that it is very hard to adapt a 16 to 20 hours video game story into a sub 2-hour movie, and it really did feel like the early 2000s again. Unfortunately, that's not a good thing. I gave this a 2 out of 10.
So that's going to give us a combined channel rating of 4 out of 10, putting it at a 4 on our tier list. You hit the nail on the head with exactly what you just said about it's hard to fit like this hour or 40-minute movie when you have a video game that lasts 20 hours. Like how do you tell a story that's supposed to last 20 hours? And I was thinking the whole time like this really needed to be a TV series. And I think that's why you see a lot of these video game adaptations going towards a TV series. It gives you a lot more length of time, at least for the first season. But then if it's successful, then you get a second season and third season and you can continue to tell more of that story. That's what this needed to be too. I just don't think there's any video game adaptation that should ever be a movie. You just don't have enough time to tell the whole story, and that's where this really fell apart. So let's kind of talk about the storyline. So the storyline in this is just really disjointed, and what I mean by that is there's too many moments where there's just gaps in the plot or in the storytelling, because there's a moment where he goes in this elevator and he's trying to search for all these clues and whatnot, and then suddenly he just knows I need to go in the elevator and go to the absolute bottom floor because that's where she's at and that's where I can find her. And it's like there's nothing that actually told him that at any point in the story. He just randomly did it and knew. It leaves the audience needing to fill in those gaps, and because of that it falls short. But I really do like the heaven and hell kind of aspect, the foghorn changing it. That part was really cool, and you can still follow the storyline. However, because there's so many gaps, I have to bring that down a bit. What do you think about the storyline?
I think if you want to experience this story, go play the game. I just got a new remake a couple years ago. Just play the game. You'll get all the same story beats and more. A lot of what you're talking about, this missing information, it's told to you in the game. And if you have played the game, you're going to go into this movie knowing a whole lot more about it and where it's headed than somebody who's just going to sit down in the theater and be like, oh, I've heard of Silent Hill. I want to watch this. That's where I think they really fell off. As far as an adaptation goes, it was very faithful to the source material in look. But when it comes to the actual plot points, there's so many things that they had to change or even merge into a singular thing that it got really weird and crazy and didn't make sense within itself. But again, as far as looks go, I think they nailed everything there. Like, it looked like Silent Hill. All the monsters were pretty faithful to what the source material has. There was just no sense of urgency within the entire movie to get from point A to point B, and the audience is just as lost as James is in this entire situation. The guy next to me literally fell asleep. He didn't walk out though, so good on him.
Yeah, that kind of actually leads right into my next thing that I wanted to talk about, which is the CGI, and it relates to the whole budget thing that I was like preluding to. Is that I felt like they put way too much money into the CGI portion of it, and they didn't have enough money to do it well enough to make it believable. Yeah. Anytime they showed a scenery, a landscape. They're like, oh, look at that hotel. I'm like, that looks like a CGI slop. Like, that looks fake to me. It looks like we're in 2005 or even 1995 CGI right now. It was a low resolution for all of it. And the monsters were the same way too. You can still get the picture, but at the end of the day, it just looked fake. And it just doesn't meet today's standards. And, you know, when you talk about a $25 million movie, you can say like, well, they don't have enough money for it. But the issue to me is that they had so much CGI in this movie that they needed a way bigger budget to pull that off. And because they only had $25 million, they needed to find some different things to do to be creative with that.
I agree. There were some wacky choices as far as special effects went. Like you said, there were points in the CGI where it was like good and passable, but there were so many other points where you could tell that they're on a green screen set and you're just like, why are you even showing me this when it's clearly not real? You might as well just have an old-timey projector in the background playing something instead. And I think they made those same odd decisions with the actual practical effects as well. The main character's wig is so bad. His hair doesn't move at all in anything that he does. And I think that kind of encapsulates how the actor portrayed the character as well. I had a big problem with him specifically. I felt his acting was very stiff, and the most we ever got out of him emotionally was a bunch of heaving. Like he had just been running everywhere, like Mark Wahlberg simulator, just all the time.
I do want to give kudos to at least some part of this movie, and that's the cinematography. I really did like the camera work, and I could tell that whoever was in charge of this, they were treating this as kind of like a fun vanity project for themselves. And this is super niche. No one's going to give a shit about this.
I don't even give a shit.
Well, so the big thing where they also spent money inappropriately too, where I think some of the choreography with some of the cinematography and what they were trying to do, and one of those moments where it was in the bar right away in the movie, they have this bar fight going on, and they do this scene where they try to do this first person viewpoint looking into a mirror, but you don't see the camera. When you're looking, the mirror should show the camera, so you don't see it, right? So you have to film it from a different way so that you can put it on the screen so it looks like it's a reflection. In order to make it feel like it's first person, they had a phone out here, and it was stiff and rigid as shit. And I was like, dude, this doesn't even look realistic at all. I know you put way too much time and effort into that shot, and it's forgettable, and you didn't execute it well enough to even make it even mentionable, apart from the fact that it was actually so bad to attempt that it gets mentioned here in an alter ego review. But apart from that, I do want to say kudos to the cinematography team. I really did like their choices that they made in this. That's everything I had to say. Is there anything you needed to say to wrap this up?
That's literally all I had.
So let's take a look at some of the reviews real quick and just see what others are saying online. It looks like in general, the audience is an overall score of 3.5 out of 10, and the critic score is 2.5 out of 10. That's a bit low in my opinion, but it's close to our combined score at least. I don't know. Let's take a look at what some of them have to say.
I think the less you knew going into this movie, the higher you probably rate it, which is kind of hard to do with a very beloved video game from 20 years ago that even has a remake that was recent and also beloved.
Since we didn't really care for the movie a whole lot, let's take a look at a 10 out of 10 online. Precursor, 12 people found it helpful, 22 did not. So I think that goes to show that, yeah, people don't like this movie that much. Dark and atmospheric psychological horror. Return to Silent Hill surprised me in the best way. It's a slow, unsettling movie that pulls you into the world and doesn't let you go easily. The fear isn't loud or obvious. It grows quietly through atmosphere, emotions, and the feeling that something is deeply wrong. What I love most is how the movie explores love and obsession, and how far someone is willing to go when they can't let you go of their past. The story feels confusing at times, but that confusion is part of the experience. And by the end, everything comes together in a way that feels sad, disturbing, and meaningful. The visuals and music create a haunting mood, and the movie stays focused on emotions rather than cheap scares. It's the kind of horror that lingers in your mind instead of disappearing once the credits roll. A beautiful and dark film, especially for those who enjoy psychological horror with heart.
I'm going to assume all of that is how they truly feel. They're gonna love the fucking video game, dude.
I suppose, like, as far as love and obsession goes, it does a great job doing that. But as far as it being like a horror movie or anything, like, I don't know. Like, I would think that once the credits roll, it's pretty forgettable. It didn't really do a good job of just making me feel tense and like scared for the character, like he's gonna die. So I disagree overall with this, although I wanted to agree because I do agree with one of the points that they did make.
Thank you for reading all that. That was really hard for you, buddy, but you did a
It
great
was
job.
really hard for me. And I don't know, I'm thrown off, man. The Broncos lost.
The Broncos lost, man. I just can't stop thinking about the Denver Broncos right now. Like, fuck this movie. The Broncos is all I want to talk about.
Anyway, as I digress. So now you know our thoughts on this movie. Let us know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's literally the only way for YouTube to know that people give a shit. And remember, we've just been two regular dudes
Doing regular reviews. The Spider Lady tits.